Someone who did anything he could get his hands on as long as it could be shot with a needle. Everyone was known by their drug of choice and accepted, sometimes even renowned for it, based on their consumption and ability to maintain or stay in control. I was a drunk. For my birthday, I was given a t-shirt with big white letters stenciled across the front that read, "Rick's a drunk." I wore that t-shirt proudly because for once I felt recognized, esteemed, and valued. I was a member of a club, and I saw nothing shameful in the proclamation emblazoned across my chest. But drinking makes you careless and sloppy, and it wasn't long before my attempts at crime landed me in jail. The things I did to get myself locked up were never outrageous or dangerous, and the terms I served were never more than a few months. I found that gaining acceptance in lockup was as easy as it had been on the street. The old-timers told me to eat mutton, say nuttin'. I was already good at both, so it was easy advice to follow. Being in jail never scared me. I got healthy, put on some weight, even saved a little money. When I got out, I went back to the old routine, with the same result. That's because I had no home to return to once I'd been let out. All I had was the street. I had never met anyone of substance, anyone with a predictable routine or schedule. We called such people Square Johns, and for a street guy to be seen with a Square John was unforgivable. So I had no one to help me, no one to care about me, no one to reach out to. All I knew was the street. Concrete becomes a part of you when you get as familiar with it as I did. You become concrete. You become cold and hard. Sleeping on it ceases to be uncomfortable because you fit there. As I thought about it that night on the hill, surrounded by the whole country, I remembered how it used to feel on those nights when I would wander aimlessly, sucking on a bottle, looking for a place to rest for a bit without a hassle before moving on. I'd look into the windows of the houses I passed. The lights seemed so warm, so inviting, so filled with life, and I imagined myself as a Square John, walking down one of those streets in the evening after a hard day's work. I would be tired, hungry. My steps would get faster the closer I got, until the moment I turned up the sidewalk of my home, when I'd slow right down. And I'd slow down and look at those same windows and know in my soul that there was someone inside, waiting for the sound of my footsteps. Someone who would breathe a little easier, knowing I was home and safe. Someone who would rush to hug me, to welcome me, to want me near. Someone whose whole being said, love. I craved that then, that life of which mine was the shadow. You smell when you've been drinking steadily, and you can't shower regularly. Your odor makes romance impossible, except for drunken tumblings in the bushes with a woman as lonely as you are, and your lack of a telephone or address makes it hard to get a job. So the evening homecomings I imagined were light years from being possible. Still, I craved them. I just didn't know how to start trying to get there. So I'd walk through neighborhood after neighborhood with sadness in my chest, a heavy, thick, unmoving sadness. I'd walk until I couldn't take another step, and then I would curl up in a backyard, a garage, a shed, or just beneath a tree, and sleep dreamlessly and heavily. Street people don't walk with their heads down because they're ashamed or afraid. They do so because they don't want to look at what haunts them the most. The sight of contentment, happiness, sheltered lives, and warmth beyond the lighted windows. I walked with my head down a lot. For 6 years, I went back and forth from street to jail. Nowadays, I know it was because I went back and forth to alcohol. Those 6 years were misery. Sober in jail, I was in conflict with myself. I felt a great hunger within me for the opposite of what I was living. I wanted a sidewalk to walk up, a door to open, and a loved one to greet me. I wanted love.